Welcome, everybody. We did the Mikey signal. Since he's not going to join us tonight, he's flying right now. But he is listening. He's listening in, I hope. There you go. Welcome, everybody, to Midnight's Edge After Dark. I'm Tom Connors. With me tonight, I have a nice panel with me here already. And who knows who might show up yet. We've got 6 joining us. How are you doing? Whoa, I just flip-flopped with you.
Well, somebody mentioned Taco Bell, so I got to go. Because I'm hungry now.
Hungry?
All it takes is to read the words and hear the bell, and I start salivating. Yeah.
It is kind of weird. It isn't, but it is weird how that you hear that bell and you're just like, I want Taco Bell.
I don't. I want a real taco or a burrito.
You know, Script, this is you may have actually had some decent food from California that was Mexican real food or something like that, or real Mexican food. And you don't know. I've never had decent food outside of the few restaurants we've had, but Taco Bell I know is Americanized, pre-processed, barely Mexican food, but it's fucking good even though it's horrible for you.
There's
what's the difference
Mexican
between
restaurants in Ontario, Canada that are just as authentic as the stuff that you get closer to the Mexican border.
What's the difference in Taco Bell and quote unquote real Mexican food?
The meat is come in a squeeze bottle.
There's a lot of differences. A lot. Like, I mean, you could sit down and break down all the differences, but just on a generalized level, like Taco Bell is very Americanized versions of these. Like the closest thing that they have on their menu that's even remotely close to the actual thing is maybe a taco, but even that's a far cry. But that's the thing. What we see as Americans as tacos isn't even close. Chalupas isn't even close. All that shit. Like, yeah. Not even close to what we get from Taco Bell. But thank you, WDW Pro, for the pro raid. I saw that.
Oh, hey, yeah.
And we also have joining us Script Doctor, as you heard, from Canada. Because up in Canada, they got Mexican restaurants to die for, evidently, that he can't be bothered with Taco Bell.
That's true. Yes. I've never had Taco Bell. I had a friend that did buy it one time, and I saw them make it in front of us, and I'm like, that's not proper.
You can't judge it like that, man.
Oh no, I smelt it enough to know that that's not good.
Oh, we've got him dead to rights now because he claims he's never tried it. See, it doesn't matter what it looks like or smells like until you've actually tried Taco Bell. You don't know the struggle, my friend.
The struggle.
Yeah.
The struggle.
Like the highlight. If you've never seen
I
it,
live by 7 Mexican restaurants.
And he still eats Taco Bell all the time, I bet.
Nope, I actually have not had Taco Bell once.
Wow.
Not in the last 4, 5, 6 years. And if I have, it would be something for like nacho fries. I always go local, man. The local restaurants love me out here.
You're weird though.
That's true.
You're like the
Two things can be true.
Like, I'm surprised you don't have like a mukbanging channel or whatever you call it, where you like.
You should do that.
Review
No, see, if I did, I would have my competition be Matt Stoney. If you don't know who Matt Stoney is,
that's the thing is, yeah, I don't know who he is, but I can imagine that. Yeah,
impossible to compete against. And trust me when I say, even I couldn't do what he does. And
I think you would do better as a review channel than you would like actually trying to.
I'm actually gonna do a pizza one soon.
Didn't you do one before off the?
I've done a few once in a while.
Yeah, I was gonna say I've seen you do at least 1 or 2.
Yeah, I'm actually gonna do a Detroit. There's a Detroit place that moved into Illinois, and the guy who runs it is literally from Detroit. So now I know it's a guy who's bringing the authentic Detroit taste to Illinois. So he's only a half hour away from me. So I'm like, okay, I need to see what's up.
There you go. Well, Nick is here, as you can see. Thank you for being here, Nick, and also joining us tonight on his new computer, Clobbering Times.
Hey, welcome. Well, but to welcome you. No, thank you for welcoming me.
Stop smashing everything and you wouldn't have to keep buying stuff.
Oh, yeah, I need to stop crushing things. Well, when you have your hands are made of big rocks.
I can see that could be a problem.
It's tough to do anything. You press one button and boom.
You don't know how much pressure you're using. Or
even after all these years. What can I say? Hello there. Fantastic chat. And, of course, wonderful friends on the panel, especially, of course, the lovely 6. Always good to see you.
Good to see you.
Yes, indeed. And we got some super chats already. Let's say hello to people in chat and get to those. We've got Uber B-Man here. It looks like Sassy's in the house. We got D-Bud Martin swinging that wrench around, and he's also a member. We got David Glenn, Midnight Mike, Cool Gamers here with that Why do you have that Windows thing? That bothers me every time. And it's not you personally, dude. It's nothing personal. It's just that fucking Windows.
Cool that way.
Oh, it's just.
It's
We got
disturbing,
Duck
yeah.
Nation here. We got Ezilla, 11 Alpha. Fat Elvis is in the house. Yeah, that's right. We got Maisha Eugene, if I'm saying that right. Maisha, is that more correct? Probably. Turo is here. Billy Go Boom. We've got Dwayne Oldson, who's also a member. Thank you. We got Cheese Factor here. I like cheese. We got Michael Gonzalez here. And welcome Hillis Mallory, speaking of, who has a super chat for us. So let's get into those. We got Shum here, who says, I thought sounds of Mexican Iron Man was a sound of somebody running, followed by the sounds of window glass. Well, it depends on what day it is. If it's dinner time, it's this. And then he gets mad at me because he'll say the same thing about Taco Bell that Script does. But I'm sure Mikey at least has had Taco Bell before. So.
Oh, yeah.
And then Waltman here says, so the creditors list for FTX was released, sans individual investors. And surprisingly, Disney and its subsidiaries is not on that list. Yeah, interesting. I didn't get a chance to check out WDW's video yet, as we were prepping the show while that dropped. I hope to check that out soon. And I'm going to send him a link because he did say he may be able to stop in later. Maybe he can kind of give us the rundown of that. And of course, Valiant, who may be aware of it, also has a link, and he can come in anytime he's listening.
Intent.
Yeah. Hillis Mallory is also here and says, Shazam looks good to me. Still more excited for Blue Beetle, even if it isn't Ted Kord. Well, we're going to talk about that here in just a minute. And we got, speaking of WW Pro, here's one of his partners in crime, Mr. Jonas J. Campbell, says, if they serve carnitas, they might have real tacos. Yes. And the big difference is usually the meats, the style of the shell, and the type of cheese as well. That's a big difference. So with that, we watched a Shazam trailer. It was Shazam-alicious.
I haven't seen that one. I must admit, I've been doing the messing with
Shazam-tastic.
It was Shazam-tastic.
Oh, I didn't get to see that one yet. Is that new today?
Shazam, damn it. This trailer was a little bit better. Yes, we did get a new trailer today.
Pretty much spoils the movie.
Yeah. We discussed this just before the show on Mr. H's channel, and yeah, we're like, holy crap, I kind of know what the whole movie's about now. And it also stars Midnight's Edge's own Helen Mirren, so don't forget that.
Yes.
I mean, this trailer was much better than the first fucking trailer. I'll tell you that right now.
They gave us a conflict. That was nice.
Yeah. So, well,
that.
Go ahead, Script. From your point of view, go ahead and give us what your thoughts are.
They filmed some new areas of Etobicoke, which is not really a suburb, but like a companion piece to the Greater Toronto area in Canada. So that was interesting. I am sick and tired of stuff in the stadium in DC films. This is, I think, I remember the one from the Dark Knight Rises, and then this one here just kind of felt all right. But outside of that, it was an interesting conflict. Some gods don't believe that Billy deserves the powers of Shazam, and they're taking it back from the family. It's very dramatic. I think it's neat.
Yeah, it's at least we finally get some story. Nick, what was your reaction?
Mostly optimistic, but the part of me that is conflicted is, well, the part that you guys already had laid out, that it feels like I've already seen the entire movie. Because overall, I was actually pleased with the trailer. I really was. Like, actually looked satisfactory. And I love the idea of what they have going with the story. I thought that's a really cool idea, because I think that is a good question to ponder because of, Billy's attitude. I think that's a great idea to play off of. So yeah, great idea. Obviously, visually, mostly looks good. A few shaky shots on CGI, but mostly good. So yeah, it looks good. Like, if I just wish the trailer didn't look like one big spoiler. Other than that, it looks good. And I know some people will say, well, technically the movie doesn't matter more. And yeah, yeah, that's most likely true, even though we don't know what's going on with Zachary and Levi and crew. But I personally, I think I might should see this one opening weekend. I think I just might actually, because once again, I just hope when I watch it, because I don't know what the first trailer was like actually, because somehow I dodged trailers for that one, and I thought the first one was a pretty good movie. So yeah,
6. What did you think of it?
I think it looks pretty cool. I was on Pop Culture Minefield when this trailer dropped, and so we did a live reaction to it. And I have
Did
not
you
seen.
piddle?
No. Let's not get carried away. I had not seen the first Shazam movie because I thought it looked dumb. And by the end of the trailer, I was on Amazon ordering the first movie and looking for to see when movie tickets are on sale yet, which they're not. But I think it looks amazing. I'm excited to see it. And,
Well, it's not till March 17th, I think, is when it
yeah,
comes
March
out.
17.
So that's a
it's
little
just
ways
shocking that they put out a second trailer this early out.
Nah,
Usually
no, that's about
a
right.
few months ago, is it?
Yeah, well, because we just got the first trailer here, what, like a month and a half ago, 2 months ago?
Man, that's crazy.
Or no,
I think
maybe it's
you're
been a little
right.
longer than that, but so yeah, this is
Yeah.
about right. We're a month and a half out from the movie being released. This is coming out now because it's going to be attached to some movie this weekend, probably.
Yeah, I mean, I like once again. I mean, I guess I'll add another thing. I like that the first movie it nailed out the elements of the lightheartedness and also the absolute darkness, because the dark parts kind of remind me of like creatures from like a Harry Potter movie. So there's some like really super dark stuff, but then there was the super light stuff, and somehow they made it make sense, like because it's the characters themselves that are, I guess you could say, happy-go-lucky, even though there's a little bit of angst within that group, because that's being a part of being a kid's about, but it's the creatures and the worlds that they surround themselves in that are pretty wild and dark. So yeah, like I said, overall I liked it. I just wish didn't feel like I just saw the entire movie in one trailer. Overall though, still good.
Yeah, you probably did.
But if you haven't seen the movie yet, how do you know you've seen the movie in the trailer?
And that's where I hope I'm wrong. I hope I'm wrong, because like I said, here's the thing, Six. I'm actually looking forward to this. Believe it or not, I'm looking forward to this. I meant that when I said I'll probably actually see this opening weekend. I'm actually hopeful for this. But there are some movies where the trailer was seen and it felt like, okay, I know the entire story and how it ends.
Okay.
So, or what's it called? Or the best parts. That's the worst part. Where the best parts are spoiled in the trailer. So hopefully this movie was just very well edited to make it not look like that. I would love to be wrong.
The trailer, you mean? Yeah.
Once again, it's still a good trailer. I'm not gonna knock it. Like overall, that's just my. I guess if you want to call it a nitpick, I still give the trailer like a 7.5, maybe even an 8 out of 10. I still really looking forward to it.
Yeah, I had no idea what was going on in the trailer, obviously, because I haven't seen the first one. There's a group shot. He's standing there with a bunch of people around him, and I said, who are those? Are those his backup dancers? Because I don't know who those people are.
The Marvel team.
You're not
very
wrong.
Marvel.
I was gonna say, yeah, you're not too far off. No, like I will you like the first movie? I don't know, 6 of all the DC films in that era, that probably has a good shot of you actually enjoying yourself, because it's one of the few movies that doesn't take itself so god darn seriously as the rest do. And it, as I've said many a times, and I know I'm not the only one to say this, so I'm not going to try and take credit for coining it, but it is the best Marvel movie that DC ever made. In that respect, they nailed it. It's got a great sense of humor. The first one does. I thought it did a decent enough job of borrowing from the comic, giving us a little bit of the flavor of the 70s TV series that was on Saturday mornings, and just in general kind of updating the idea. And at first I was kind of meh on the whole idea of them having like multiple team members, but once I seen them all suited up together, I kind of liked it. The problem with the film is the same problem we have with movies like Big, and that is where you have the adult actor acting at a lower maturity level than the younger actor who's playing them as a kid, right?
Yeah.
So that if anything, that's the biggest problem with the film, the first film anyway. Now, the issue I had with the last trailer before this was just how dark and dour it looked in comparison to this. We get a little bit more of the humor that we're used to in the first film. But I seen Scipio say something about Helen Mirren as a villain. I don't give a shit. She was such a sweetheart when we met her and not only that, she's just one of those actors that I liked in just about anything they do. Even a bad film, they're okay in usually. Because wasn't she like in Red and some other stuff too, not too long ago in some other
Yep,
movies?
she was
And
in Red, which is
I
also a
loved her in
Detective
that.
Comics
Like,
adaptation, I believe.
even though those movies weren't the greatest, but she was one of the better parts with John Malkovich in those movies, as far as I was concerned. Because yeah, the rest of it could, especially the second one from my memory, was really bad. But no, I mean, overall, I kind of am liking the looks of this. But Klobby, you just watched it, right?
Yes.
So give me your fresh take.
Well, I don't know how fresh it is. I didn't. The first movie I was all over the place with because I cannot stand. Look, I will admit it. I'm a Captain Marvel purist. Yes, this is Captain Marvel territory.
Yeah,
This is who this character originally was. I don't like calling him Shazam. The
I
first
understand that.
first movie's too based on Screw 52 stuff for me, but nevertheless, if I put that aside and go, it's still a relatively entertaining movie. I don't like the characterization of Billy Batson inside Captain Marvel's head. But DC did that crap in comics too. This is based on comics that did it, so you can't blame the movie for that. I like Zachary Levi. Again, I thought it was the first film was pretty enjoyable if you put all those things aside. It's tough for me because I really love Captain Marvel a lot. So this looks like more of the same. Looks fairly entertaining by this trailer. I think if you don't have the baggage I do with the character, you might enjoy not only the first film, but it looks like you might be able to enjoy this one. Looks like it could be some fun. I don't know. Again, either way, but I'll give it a shot when it comes out.
No, that's a total fair way of looking at it. Because I bet if like you saw this as a movie that wasn't Shazam or Captain Marvel in quotations,
the actual
it might
Captain Marvel.
Yeah, it might have been a funner, entertaining film. But I can see where you're coming from. Because to me, like I even felt like I'm trying to remember back to the Saturday morning TV series when he turned into Shazam, I don't think he was still the kid in mind, right?
That was before
exactly.
they started doing that.
Because that's kind of a newer thing. You're right. Yeah.
It's the wisdom of Solomon means something, and that's what Solomon.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, that's a good point.
Speed of Mercury. Yeah,
when he became
actually meant something.
When he became Captain Marvel back then, and even on that TV show, he was an adult inside. He had that wisdom and stuff like that. But it was unfortunately done by, I think, idiots personally in the late 80s and the early 70s, and some other different writers, even some that I've liked and other stuff. Where they started doing that with him a little bit more. Then, of course, the 2000s really started doing that, even before the Screw 52, which was horrific. I hate what they did to Shazam in that one. But
that's when they named him that. I mean, that was dumb.
It was just,
awful. Because it makes it dumb, especially for the family, the Marvel family. Because then you're like, what, the Shazam family or the Shazamily? Like the Marvel family? No, I did enjoy. I did enjoy Mary and what's his name? Or I'm blanking out here. Freddie. Thank you. I did enjoy Mary and Freddie. And I actually liked Savannah from Mark Strong. I actually thought
I hate the lightning powers. I hate the lightning powers. They aggravate. Every time I see them, it aggravates me.
Now, on the name thing, look, I understand it. Now, I'm curious, though, if this has just always been like some, fandom myth or if it's the true facts of it or what. But like the whole name change thing, did that come along because at least this is the fandom myth, let's say, is that in sometime in either the 60s or 70s it was that Stan Lee finally had copyrighted the name Marvel, and then they had their Captain Marvel and got him copyrighted first or some shit.
Well, there was in around 53.
So there was like some conflict there or something or other?
No, because Captain Marvel was originally worked as Captain Thunder.
No, before that though. No, DC did have that because that's before they had the rights to the Shazam comic.
Yeah,
what happened
and they kind of merged them together a little bit, but they registered Captain Marvel as theirs.
What happened was Marvel, there was actually a company, I forget the name of the exact title, that had an android Captain Marvel that went to pieces, that actually took his body parts apart, stuff like that, before Marvel started their Marvel character. And then that guy, I forget that guy's name who started that company, but anyway, they went under, and Marvel paid him about like $1,500, $4,000, whatever it was to get that, and they took Captain Marvel and made a title of it, even though he was the Kree Captain Marvel that had really nothing to do with anything relatively resembling the Billy Batson Captain Marvel. And then a few years later, DC realized when they could use Shazam. But before that, they actually had an issue of Superman where they had a character called Captain Thunder that was sort of like him meeting. They did it. It was like a one-off where he met a Captain Marvel type character, except he was Captain Thunder. And then not too long after that, they were able to get the license where they just can't call him Captain Marvel all the time anyway. They can't really make a title called Captain Marvel, but they can call it Shazam. And inside the book, and even once in a while on a cover, you'll see the word Captain Marvel, the words. But for the most part, it became this kind of muddied waters, if you will. They could not make a title Captain Marvel, but they can use the character. And they even called him that inside of the book. And they made a TV show through Filmation called Shazam, and they called him Captain Marvel all the time on that show. So he's Captain Marvel. The Marvel version is Marvel.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah.
And Marvel got done dirty in Captain Marvel, and that's a whole other can of worms for another.
Well, it sounds like
that's a whole other can of worms for a whole other panel.
It sounds like
Tom. That's
according to Games Radar, yeah. But according to Games Radar, the short version I can come up with here is, it does sound like there is some validity to the whole legal dispute. The basics, though, are the title Captain Marvel was now under trademark by Marvel Comics. As I had pointed out, DC couldn't simply publish their own hero stories under his own name, so they improvised, drawing a name from both the wizard that gave Captain Marvel his powers and the magic word he spoke and became the hero. So DC just simply started using Shazam instead. So there you go. Yep. There must have been a lapse somewhere if they did at one point copyrighted otherwise. And I mean, I know that the history of Captain Marvel is varied because it goes all the way back to the original Superman, and DC suing the creator of Captain Marvel. Yeah.
They did sue them. They've sued them for years. And that's when they destroyed Fawcett Comics. Pretty much national periodical publications that became DC pretty much ran Fawcett out of business after a while. But there was a time where Captain Marvel Comics in the 40s outsold Superman.
This is true. And
that's a good point. It is clear as mud. It's a mess.
It's as clear as mud. Yes. I was just going to say that's the best way to put it. And you're right, Nick, there might be a whole discussion involved in how that probably went down. Actually, it's probably a very interesting documentary that could be made.
We could probably go for a full panel just talking about how badly done dirty they did to Marvel, because they basically they Mandarin him the way people know about the way Mandarin got done dirty. And
I mean, just in general, like the whole Captain Marvel versus Captain Marvel versus Superman, the whole history of it all.
Yeah.
There's a lot of documentation on the big lawsuit, which again is only really fascinating to geeks who like comics history.
But if you sift through it and you find the good stuff, that's what basically Andre did for all the Ghostbuster reporting and what we had done for some of the other stuff for like Spider-Man and the Emoji movie and Popeye movie and stuff. It's really all you got to do is just scour through this shit.
Oh yeah.
You find little bits and pieces here and there, and
years ago I did a deep dive on it. It takes a while, but you can do it, and it's just fascinating, and it is convoluted. It is really a mess, especially back in the when it all started going.
Well, we're in the middle of it now with the Motu stuff, Masters of the Universe, and trying to figure out what the fuck's going on with the rights there, because that has been a mess. So, but that's a whole nother discussion. Yeah, well, I guess it sounds like most of us are looking a little bit more forward to this movie than we were before. But as some people have pointed out, what difference does it make? Because this is pretty much the end of the road for this crew. But at the same time, I am a little bit more excited for this movie than I was before. So we'll have to see how that goes. I'm more excited for it than I was Ant-Man at all.
Yeah.
That is going to be interesting to see how that plays out, considering that kicks off Phase 5. See, that has a lot more stakes at it. And, of course, you got the proper introduction of King the Conqueror, plus will he, won't he, with Scott Lang. But, no, I actually am. I meant what I said. I'm looking forward to Shazam overall. And, once again, that'll be an opening weekend to see. So, hopefully it'll end up being a fun time.
I might actually go see that, too, yeah. Especially if they do, 3D IMAX or something. Then it makes it worth the trip. Speaking of DC, there is some more DC related news. It turns out both Teen Titans and Doom Patrol are canceled. And of course, the internet was quick to blame James Gunn for this, but he did come out in his defense and said, no, this predates me.
It does, because the shows were terrible. I mean, not so much Doom Patrol. The first season I really enjoyed. I fell out about the second season, but Titans is absolutely terrible. I explained why in 10 minutes on my YouTube channel.
It was an atrocity, straight up atrocity. Yeah, I saw CBR posted this article earlier, and Usually I get I guess you could say I get a little annoyed when I see these really misleading headlines and articles. I couldn't even be doing that. This time I bursted with laughter when they said Titans is canceled and fans are disappointed. I
What
laughed
fans?
so hard. I was like, what fans?
Well, I wish I'd have
What
grabbed that one because I
fans?
didn't. But this is the first one that
Oh,
popped up here.
I could get it for you. I'll get it for you.
But no,
But I could not believe when I saw that headline. I'm like, are they really trying to gaslight us that hard? Is this their way of trying to quote unquote save the show type of thing? You know how that happens. Sometimes they'll try to like remember with Batwoman, someone tried making like a please save Batwoman and it got like 100 $100 I think, something like that on GoFundMe. So I was just like, are they really trying this hard to like sell us that this is a thing when it never ever was? And believe me, I will not forget when I first watched, and I feel almost a little dirty. Like it's like when I wrote to you that message in the when we were talking, I saw like that scene when Ace Ventura felt like he kissed Louis Hinehorn and found out it was Ray Finkel, and he felt so violated he had to take off his clothes and set them on fire and go shower. That's how he felt watching Titans. Titans was just an absolute mortification of an abomination of DC Comics property. Like
Agreed.
Dick Grayson was just Batman, but as Dick Grayson, and then Starfire, the suit was an atrocity. Her personality was an atrocity. Like all the personalities were absolutely far off from the characters, and the fact that Beast Boy was just some dude with green hair most of the show. Oh, that was, dude, come on. It was just such an abomination. Then I'm like, okay, maybe this will improve. And I did season 2, and I mean, it was like it's like if the show went from a 0.5 to a 1.0, just because the guy who was Deathstroke is pretty good. And there's one whole episode he never took off his helmet, which I thought was kind of cool. But other than that, then it got worse. Oh, it's so much worse. I'm just like, why did this even go on as long as it did? And then they got that guy who was Bruce Wayne in it, who's like a British guy, and it was one of those rare times where a British guy couldn't sound American because all you heard was a British guy, not Bruce Wayne. It was.
No, I think he's Irish,
awful.
dude, and
Is he Irish?
Yeah, he broke his accent a number of times in that show. If he's not Irish, he's definitely from the islands, but I don't think he's British. He was from Game of Thrones. That's why he was brought on board. He did the Bat-Tusi actually dance in Titans. I was told. So
it took about 30 minutes to get sick of the first episode of Titans and never went back. I think you know why, Nick.
I know why, especially with that whole "fuck Batman" comment, which I remember everyone was so over the moon about that comment, and I'm just like, no, guys, that's not a great comment here. I thought he was going to outgrow that comment. No, he didn't. He was just still a bitch, and then I did watch Doom Patrol. Loved that first season. I was actually a big fan of it. I really watched it. I saw a second one, and I never got on to 3 and 4, but I thought the first season was actually great. It was the big problem with that, though, is that not many people watched it. Now, it's a tragedy. No, not just a tragedy, a travesty. The Titans may have passed one season. That show should have been, I mean, granted, I never watched Batwoman, but if I had to put the two shows next to each other, I would take an educated guess that somehow Titans was somehow worse. And that's saying a lot because Batwoman looks like an atrocity too. And you don't want to make Batwoman better than something, but I truly believe Titans may have been worse than that if I were to watch them neck and neck to each other.
Speaking of that, Hillis Mallory sends in $2 to exclaim, Teen Titans got 4 seasons? How?
Yeah, we're still shocked about that.
Failing upwards. Yeah. That's why. Mata was part of the whole failing upwards.
It's an Akiva Goldsman show.
Yeah.
And that's what he was able to procure and convince from Warner Brothers and DC at the time.
Yeah.
Who's watching that thing? I mean, it was on the DC universe, right?
No one. Yeah,
I saw
like 2 seasons.
I never watched any episodes.
To HBO Max.
I've seen clips.
3 and 4. It went to HBO Max.
Some people liked it, but I don't know.
But the whole Brendan Fraser thing. Let's real quick address this. Like, How much you want to bet, even if they did get another season, Brendan wouldn't have come back? Because I bet you he's got all sorts of offers right now that this show is way beneath him now.
He's only doing a voice in the show. He
Just
doesn't
does a
actually-
voice,
he's
right?
not
That's
there.
true. So yeah,
No, he does some
yeah.
acting
Still a
scenes.
job.
He there because they do flashbacks that show when he like his character, like unless
Oh.
they stop doing them later on. But the first season, they're showing why
Right.
he became Robot Man, and you see his character start off as this guy who's like a total super like hothead,
Cliff Steele.
and then Cliff Steele, and he totally becomes very humanized by the end of the season. And he has his hero's journey type of thing. And yeah, he was easily between him and what's that guy's name? Alan Tudyk, who was Mr. Nobody. Between him, Mr. Nobody, and then the weirdness of that first season, dude, it really was like a fun show. It really was fun, and especially with Mr. Nobody being like basically the narrator of the show. So the villain of the show is the narrator. I thought it was a really cool touch. I really, really enjoyed that. So they had the right idea with that show, and it's unfortunate that it didn't get noticed, by a big audience. But had it been on a bigger network, I'm sure it would have had more fans. And it's definitely unfortunate that Doom Patrol never got to amount to the hype it could have truly gotten. But Titans was dead on arrival. Looking back,
Yeah, see, Teen
Titans was, ugh.
Teen Titans looks like something that would fit right in at CW.
Oh,
Yeah.
But
Very
but
CW
like-
show.
Doom Patrol feels like it should have been like an Amazon streaming series or something. Like that feels like it should have been something a bit more prestigious, at least from what I had seen from it. Now, again, I had never really watched it, but I do know that the Doom Patrol actually had a fan base to it, that people actually liked the show, said it was good and whatnot. I can't speak for all the later seasons like you guys said, but I just do remember when it first came out, it was fairly well received. But Teen Titans has been a joke from the start, from my recollection. So, because isn't that the show where they said "fuck Batman" or whatever?
The
First
30
episode.
minutes.
Titans
Yeah,
is just Titans.
it's just Titans. Yeah. But yeah, the first 30
Titans
minutes
is
they
a
said that, and I'm
cartoon
going,
show. Yeah, whatever.
Dick Grayson would never say that, so to hell with him.
No, that was
Oh,
it was
okay.
just
Well,
an atrocity.
see, because
and
I
of course they
I don't know
rely
the
on
difference
Batman
between
villains.
Teen Titans and Titans. So,
Well, it's supposed to be them grown up, basically, is what they're supposed to do. Like when they're Teen
Yeah,
Titans,
not
they're
much difference.
teenagers, and
yeah.
they're supposed to be grown up. And when the DC Rebirth initiative hit, they took out the teen and they had them just as Titans. So I think they're probably trying to capitalize off the name.
Is that
of
the show we're
Rebirth
talking about? Is
series.
just Titans? It's called.
Yes,
Yep.
yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
When the Rebirth series hit, it was titled.
So for those who
Titans.
may be confused, sorry.
Yeah, no,
Which
and
is you,
I
Tom.
did
That's
read
okay.
that.
It is, but
I
there is
did-
some people. No, I'm not the only one, because Teen Titans,
Teen
people
Titans,
are
the
talking
cartoon
about.
was great.
Are we talking
From the
about Teen Titans or
2000s.
Titans? People are saying in the chat. So
Yeah.
yeah.
It's a fair call.
I like 2003 Teen
So yes,
Titans.
I am confused, but so are a few other people evidently. So I'm just making that clear.
Yeah. No,
I wasn't
get it.
confused till I realized they were confused. To me, I know what I'm talking about, but I don't give a shit.
Mhm.
Like that's the problem, is I just don't give a shit. Like, and that's the other thing. The funny thing about this whole thing was, because that was just the kickoff, that DC streaming service that we all knew was going to be a failure from the start.
Yep.
It's unfortunate that it was, because if they had truly committed to it and they got absolutely all things DC, and that was its biggest flaw from the beginning. They basically skipped the stages of planning to get it set up. They just said, we need to just have a stream service just to say we have one, and they rushed to get that thing out. And then when they got it out, which I'll admit I signed up on, they didn't know what to do with it. They had select things, movie wise, comic book wise, but they had so much missing on both ends, and they would rotate things out. So it just make it feel like you'd have, I don't know, a month's worth of content to watch, and then maybe about a year's content to read. Then about 6 months to a year later, they dropped a lot from the comic book end, which for me, that I was happy with that.
To be honest,
But-
I think the whole thing was a resistance to HBO Max, because that was the same
And it
time
probably was.
that they did the CNN Plus thing, and it all
Mhm.
was like, yeah, fuck you guys, it's getting folded into HBO Max kind of thing.
Mhm. And then
So I think it was
once
them
it-
just trying to be like assholes. But anyway, go ahead. Sorry, Nick.
No, the thing is you're right, but they didn't as far as like getting because here's the thing, like for every like Christopher Nolan movie it'd have on there, they would have several other DC movies or shows missing. And when it's called the DC universe, you would think it would have all those things. And it was really odd. Like I remember it was cool because I got to rewatch the 2011 Green Lantern on animated series, which only had one season, which was really good. So it was good to relive that because even though the animation style is not my preferred style of animation, the story in it was so damn good that I could totally overlook it because the quality of that show is so great. That great arc with Atrocitus. Oh man, if anyone hasn't watched that show, watch it. It's a sad tragedy that show only got one season. And I'm sure if the stigma of the 2011 movie wasn't bogged down to it, I'm sure the show would have gotten greenlit for at least a second season. So, yeah, that animated show, hard recommend.
Oh yeah, and the music for it is also fantastic.
Yeah,
I got the soundtrack, the 2-volume soundtrack.
Yes, and I love the guy who I can't remember his name. The guy who voiced Hal Jordan. He had such a great
That's
voice for
Josh
that
Keaton.
character.
He did Spider-Man.
He was.
Also.
Oh,
Yeah.
you're right. He did. No,
Great
he was
show.
good as Hal Jordan, man.
Is it
I loved
soundtrack?
it.
Well,
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a 2-volume soundtrack of the Green
Oh.
Lantern cartoon series.
God, it was such a good show.
It was. I mean, it was the computer generated take on the Bruce Timm animation style.
Yeah.
And
Mhm.
it worked for the show, but I understand Nick's preference for different type. of
I would like to
animation.
see 2D, standard 2D to look more like maybe like Emerald Knights or something like that. That would be my preference, but the show's still so good.
Right.
It's fine. I mean, it worked. Yeah.
It's amazing how much you can overlook something when the story is done so
Yeah.
well.
Yeah. Just a preference. Like I said, it still worked fine. I love the show.
So yeah, watch that show if you haven't, folks. I see a few comments saying they know how great it is, but seriously, folks, if you're looking for some good, you feel like you're getting shorted on good stuff and you're just looking for some, it's like 24, 25 episodes. Seriously, watch it. You'll have a great time with it.
Yeah, KR Nut
Indeed.
says here. But we got some super chats here. We've got Dash Attack who says, if Titans is canceled, is there hope a less dark, possibly animated version of it? First season was good. Second season was too edgy. I think a lot of this is mainly being canceled just because they knew that going forward, Zaslav wanted a more unified
But you have one anyway.
situation.
You have
No,
one. It's
what
called
happened
Young,
is-
it's called Young Justice. You have one. So
You have Young Justice, which again they had that iffy season 3. However, I think Zaslav saw the numbers of how much they were spending on Titans and how little return it was, and that's
Well,
what
all
was
those
so
shows,
bad.
yeah.
oh yeah.
Because it's a garbage show.
Well, that's the thing. All the CW shows were losing money.
And this was a CW show with actual cursing.
Of course. Because it was on the DC Universe app.
Not only
And
that, I mean, heck,
Initially.
I've read CW scripts that are on network, and they still put swear words in there because they know they're going to be edited out, but they just want to
Right.
get the intensity. It's like, oh, come on.
Right.
Well, and here's the thing is like, this kind of ties into another story that I don't know if we're going to get into tonight, but we may talk about tomorrow on the main channel or in an editorial in the future. But clearly the studios are realizing that the streaming business is not what it was, what they thought it was going to be. And it's not going to sustain shows like these. Even CW level shows, which were losing money on CW, it can't sustain. So at that point, I'm sure like you're right in that respect. Script, a big half of the reason why these shows are getting canceled is not just the unified factor, but just the cost factor compared to what the audience they actually have and the return. Because they can't keep spending this kind of money on these stupid shows like that.
Disney,
Yeah.
Paramount, and Warner Brothers are realizing that Netflix, the Netflix model that everyone was after because it was so lucrative when people had it, is not actually viable across a larger audience with the way that they were doing things.
Yeah.
Yeah, and here's a headline that Nick was talking about. They're devastated.
They
Yes.
showed
So
off the
devastated.
five fans who were devastated about it on Twitter, and
But
to give out the
there's-
perception that so many
Yeah.
people care.
There are more people in that picture than are actually devastated. I'm pretty
Watch
sure.
it. Yes, exactly.
And
They're
then like,
devastated.
go and ask each and every one of these individuals what their favorite episode was. I bet you half of them will be like, well, I haven't watched it yet, but
But
No, if anyone, it's probably the one with the first shot of bare breasts, because I'm pretty
Yeah.
sure they did that.
that probably is true. Like at least a third of them, maybe, but no,
they're
that's
all
hilarious.
devastated because they're
They're
fired.
devastated.
I love
and
how
then-
one of the comments was, "They're not your Titans, but they're my Titans." I was like, "Oh, so basically, you just like the fake son. You might as well just at least come forward and say you like the fake version of the characters, because at that point, you'd be honest with yourself." At
That looks
least.
so terrible, so trashy looking.
Yeah. Nelson Sharita says, so becoming robot man humanized him ironic.
That
Well,
is
if you
true.
mean the actor himself or just the character?
No, all right.
Full steel.
I say, because yeah, that had nothing to do with his comeback. But yeah, that was playing a fat man. Basically played me. Big Boss SB says,
me.
did anyone on the panel watch the Swamp Thing series that came out at the same
Yes.
time as Titans and
Yes.
Doom
Yeah.
Patrol? That was a great. That was great. Wish they would bring it back. Well, didn't that have just a ton of issues with like costs? And then wasn't there some
they had
issue with
cost
some
issues. It
either
got canceled
creator or-
before the
They
first
cut their
season
budget
even
in the
began.
midst of production. Yeah.
A lot of people
Yeah.
liked it. I couldn't stand it. I thought they did a terrible job of trying to adapt some of more stuff and rights, even some of the Lin Reed rights and stuff. And it was just a
Mhm.
crushing bore. Some of it just was a long, drawn out crap. They got near certain interesting ideas and did a lot of really idiotic things with more stories. And I just couldn't stand it. But don't listen to me, folks. Go try it because some people like that thing for some reason. So I got you.
I don't know. I got Wes
Well,
Cravens. I don't
what
know.
we ended up seeing was a very gutted version of what they were trying to do. Because again, in the midst of shooting, they lost their budget and they were told they were canceled, and they had to still release the rest of the shows. So they had to re-edit, recut, put in second unit footage to pad out the episodes. It was really unfortunate, but I mean, Bobby, you're right. There are seeds of very good things in there that they don't execute well because of that butchering that they were subjected to.
Kept waiting for something to happen, and they would get near something and go, "Oh, this is kind of like from a Moore issue," and then they would do something real watered down take on it. And so it was like even with Blue Devil and all this other stuff, like it's just a dull and boring. What was it, like 13 episodes around? And I gave it watched them all, hoping it would start getting on track. It never did. I thought it was poorly written. Just me. People like it, so what are you gonna do? Go watch it, everyone.
Well, but that was the showing of the budget. Yeah, see, like as Jason said, the budget was the major sticking point, and that's the thing is, even at that point, they couldn't justify things, and then they had that tax issue. I heard, and like Scripps said, they also had the stripping of the budget, which didn't help. So, which was probably in relation to that. Hillis Mallory says, want to see a good animated feature film? Go see Puss in Boots: The Last Wish. I cannot say enough how good this film is. Wolf is a great villain. You know, it's on video on demand right now too, so you don't even have to leave your home.
I've heard that it's good. I'm actually concerned going to see it in the theater with the kids because I actually did like the first movie. So,
and I had read somewhere that they made sure that the budget on it stayed pretty low too.
That's good.
Mecca J says, glad Titans is canceled. I still remember the woke mob reeing over the criticisms on Starfire's design.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that was that with the horrible hair and
when she was
costume.
dressed in the first episode, she was dressed like a hooker.
Dude, she did that the entire season. She wore that
just because I'm dressed this way.
But it wasn't that. There were also people were talking about how, why wasn't she orange? They were saying, well, we're calling get people racist. I'm like, well, you know what? Gamora is green, and yet she's played by a of color.
Yeah.
So,
and no one complained, and I still don't to this day.
No one wanted Starfire to be white. They wanted her to be a Tamarin. They wanted her to be orange.
Yeah,
because it still looked like the comic book. Sorry.
How dare you want to be faithful to the source material? What the hell?
How dare you?
You fanboy.
Doug 1985 VA says, man, I love the camaraderie between Robot Man and Crazy Jane and Doom Patrol. Well, you at least got a couple seasons out of it anyway. I don't know if there's like
Yeah.
another season waiting to be released yet or what, but
They
it's
had
too
a
bad, but
great
not surprising.
they had a great dynamic in season 1 and season 2. It kind of goes off the rails on Crazy Jane's side. She starts to sputter off some, let's just say some social justice lines, and they would be like so left field. It's kind of like if you heard that whole thing where it's just like, you don't have to find the vegan finds you and lets you know that they're vegan. That's how left field some of her comments were in season 2. And her character arc in season 1's great. I'd say for me, she was the second best character in the show.
No, you're right. And then the traveling town, Danny the Town, was kind of, it was weird,
Danny
but the
the
way that they
Street.
did it didn't feel right.
No, you're right about Danny the Street. Yeah, and
Danny the Street,
I could definitely see why people would be thrown off by it, but the way it was executed definitely made sense. So you could definitely like overlook it. It didn't take up the show. Once again, I guess you could say, it made it part of the story. Whereas with Crazy Jane season 2, it was just comment after comment.
Teague sends in $2, speaking of comments, and says, how do y'all feel about Batman Brave and the Bold? I saw a little bit of it here and there. I thought it was,
I love
what
it.
it was pretty good.
It is my happy place in life. I love it so much. It's my all-time favorite superhero cartoon, even though Batman animated series is still the greatest of them, of course. But Batman Brave and the Bold is my childhood. It's my Silver Age, Bronze Age love, and it's brilliant. 65 episodes of pure brilliance, and I love it. A great love letter to Silver Age comics. And it just, no matter what the mood, no matter how down I am, I can pop on an episode of that and just cheer up. A true joy for me. So, how about a mold? I'm gonna tell you.
Great show. I've not seen all the episodes like Klobby. I've probably seen like 2 seasons worth. But yeah, it's great because, as Klobby said, it captures that Silver Age element. But for me, the one thing that show got right that the animated series didn't was acknowledge the greater DC universe. Like, because you get to meet all these characters you never would have heard of if it wasn't for that show. Like, I didn't know who Plastic Man was until I saw that show. And that was my introduction to Jaime Reyes, Blue Beetle. That was my introduction actually to the Doom Patrol. Like, there's a lot
That's
of
a great episode. Boy, the Doom Patrol episode.
Outstanding.
Brilliant.
Outstanding.
Yeah.
And there's even a great Christmas episode, which we obviously covered. But all I'm just saying, chat, once again, if you want another thing that you want a good fix of, please watch that show.
Love it.
Like, it's so good.
Yes.
Abdulio has a $10 super chat here for Script Doctor. Thank you so much. It says, a Fallout show being produced by the folks who did Westworld. It's going to suck even if they were true to the source. They would be to Bethesda's Fallout rather than the original.
Oh no! If it's the team that worked behind Westworld, that is Jonathan Nolan and his wife, something Joy. They're terrible writers. They're only have their careers because
that's what I think he's saying. Yeah,
Christopher Nolan, and then on top of that, they also teamed up with J.J. Abrams to make Westworld. So, yeah, there's already way more against it than Bethesda in that regard. So, yeah.
Okay. There you go. So yeah, I would be more worried about them guys. I think you're right. But there you go. I have no horse in this race. I hated the Westworld. I hated the Westworld show.
Yeah.
I fucking hated it from the start, even though I was like trying to like it. And then when Gary of Nerdrotic told me not to even bother with the second season, I'm like, oh, thank God.
I heard that.
No, the first season was terrible. The first season missed all the novelty of what
it ain't Westworld. Exactly. It's like, what the fuck is this
movie with Yul Brynner and Richard Benjamin? Yeah, and Johnny.
Yeah, it ain't nothing like that.
I'm scared. I never watched it either, buddy.
I love the original Westworld, but this is not Westworld. I was like, what the fuck is this?
They replaced the virus.
They replaced the invention of the computer virus, which is what Westworld kind of really fathered, and changed it to, no, it's AI. And I'm like, oh, great, derivative crap.
Even Future World was better than this show.
I like Future World. Not as good, yeah, but
Future World was better than that Westworld show.
That's what I'm saying. Like, yeah, even though that was a huge step down from Westworld, it was like still better than this shit.
Yeah, Many Dragon Justice League action's underrated, just so you know.
And then
I
the
guess,
whole,
yeah.
I was just saying, then the whole fucking clencher of the first season is, oh, it's him in 2 different time periods. It's like, oh, fucking jerk me off. Why don't you?
Terrible.
It is. It's just fucking pretentious bullshit. It's just like you are trying to act so fucking high and mighty on your own fucking stupid ideas. Really is what it boils down
they
to.
even get them wrong because they talk about the bicameral mind, and it's like the mind is separated into 2 facets. No, that's your first step into psychology and understanding it, and you realize it's completely wrong once you get past that first year, because it's all about teaching you about what we thought and then what we've actually learned. And leave it to the Nolan family; they do Wikipedia level research. But again, they have a very good way of executing some stuff. But if they actually did the research, they would actually be giving James Cameron a run for his money if they actually put some effort into learning about what they're writing and talking about.
Well, like, I just don't get this idea of making Michael Crichton so much more complicated than it needs to be when it comes to Jurassic Park and Westworld. Yeah. It's like, it's pretty motherfucking simple. It's like, he did all the hard work for you when it comes to the science. He did all that just so you could get to the good shit. Yep. You know what? You just get past all that crap, because in the end of the day, it don't really matter, because it's all about the element going wrong and man versus said element, whether it's dinosaurs or computers or robots, what have you. You know, it's like, that's pretty basic, simple stuff. And all I really wanted out of the Jurassic series was what Westworld was. Right? Because that's what I always thought the promise was going to be, was like, you get a bunch of fucking dinosaurs tearing apart a fucking park full of people. And they can't get out. You know? Because they're on a goddamn island. You know? Like Westworld was kind of the kernel of that idea. Jurassic Park took it to the nth degree, right? Because it's like, okay, what if we have... Because you can always shut down a machine in some way, shape, or form. What if you can't shut the machine down?
Yeah.
That's all really the difference between the two are, is just Crichton asking himself that question. And not only that, what would happen if you took 2 species that were separated by, you know, as he says in the film, 65 million years, and put them together? What would happen? Well, Nunchuckosaurus would happen. That's what. An ancient dinosaur learns an ancient mystic art.
Or would it be a new mystic art?
New mystic art. Yes. 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 Now you're giving me more ideas, because like he was like, yeah, because he like finds I got to figure out how he's going to get to ancient feudal Japan or Japan when they started doing.
He was there first, and then that's what happened.
But I mean, like he was trapped in a volcano or something. I'm trying to think of how, you know.
Oh, he had to be frozen in Mount Fuji somewhere.
There you go. See? This is why you're here.
I also do research, so you know, I study and learn things.
You do more research than the Nolans.
Yes, I
do. Indeed.
All right, Big Boss SB says, in Doom Patrol, the episode with Danny Street, when the muscle guy did the wrong flex, it made every had me crying. I was laughing so hard.
Oh, Flex Mentallo, yeah.
Oh, Flex Mentallo.
Oh, that one episode Flex was in, or no, he was only the last 2 or 3. Those were out. Those were so good. I love that. There was a chunk of special. Whoever, I can't remember that guy's who they cast him, but he was perfect.
He was really well cast on Flex Mentallo. Yeah.
Yeah.
Indeed. I never got into the show, though, sadly, but I've heard good things about it. I mean, I've seen, like I said, clips and stuff from it, so just wasn't something that really caught my attention.
Well, it's great because, you know, he's another silly character, and he, like all the other characters, he has a very tragic background, and he has this idea that on paper just sounds ridiculous and silly, but once you actually see his abilities play out, it's really damn cool. I mean, if you're in the position where you can at least give that first season, you know, I guess you could say the college try, 3 strikes you're out, baseball style, because I think you could get some joy of it. And trust me when I say it capitalizes on the weirdness, particularly of the, I guess you could say, Grant Morrison run of the book, because it definitely took some, tips from that particular run. That's for sure. So Yeah, I really enjoyed it. Like I said, it gets pretty out there. It really does.
All right. Well, did we have any other topics to talk about tonight? Because I'm not so sure if the other guys are going to make it here. Now would be a good time for them too.
I mean,
but
yeah, it's not much going on in the world out there, huh?
Oh yeah. I mean, for now, I mean, I do have I could mention something of what I see going down in the future with the blue people, but I'm sure you've already burned out on talk about blue people.
Yes, I am.
Blue people.
Then I'll save it for another panel.
Blue people.
You got Jack White in the house. How you doing, my friend? Says Jonah Nolan's can do good stuff. I mean, he created Person of Interest, which is good, but if he keeps working with JJ, it's unlikely he's going to make another good series. Well,
he doesn't only work with JJ. He works with his wife more often, and Person of Interest, you can like it fine. I thought it was terrible. So
yeah, I don't know. I mean, with the whole
they
Nolan
just recently
thing,
did the Peripheral thing that me and Paul Chato were the only two people in our group that watched it, and it was bad.
I'm like a half 50-50 on Nolan right now. Like I like half of his personal films.
Well, Christopher and Jonathan are not the same, right?
No, I know, yeah,
His
and
brother
it's like
is worse
him
than Christopher. Jonathan
but
is
like
the hack.
John, yeah, and then you got, and then which.
So Christopher is the director who kind of writes.
I know that. I'm talking about which
Jonathan's his brother.
Which movies didn't they work with? I'm trying to think of his fucking name. Goyer on.
Batman. Well, Jonathan Nolan was not involved with Batman Begins. That was Goyer and Christopher Nolan. Jonathan Nolan came in for The Dark Knight and The Dark Knight Rises.
Yeah.
And
Dark Knight Rises was worse.
Yeah. Well, that's because both brothers didn't want to keep doing a Batman movie anymore, so they just phoned it in.
Yeah. Yet Rises created the best parodies ever with when College Humor used to be good. Rises had the best parodies of them all, that's for sure. Especially the Bane scene where the bomb's supposed to go off in 30 seconds and they're bickering for like 6 minutes. And they acknowledge that it's been several minutes overdue and the bomb still hasn't gone off yet. Or that when he gets stabbed by what you don't know until it's revealed is Talia al Ghul. Oh, dude, the parodies of those are
not only
so
that,
good.
I mean, you had Tom Hardy doing Adam Sandler's goofy voice as Bane, and what's really the only good part about the Harley Quinn cartoon show is they used that in the cartoon show and make fun of it. It's God. My name is Bane. Like that's what we get pretty much.
The person is more severe.
Is it actually Adam Sandler or just somebody trying to make it sound like it?
No, I mean Tom Hardy was trying to make it sound like Adam Sandler.
Oh, okay, gotcha. Never
Whoever's
mind.
doing in the cartoon, I don't know, but they're having fun with it because you can just find clips of Bane from Harley Quinn show, and they're actually kind of funny.
Oh Jesus!
That filthy show actually got renewed for some horrible reason.
Well, yeah, it did.
Oh jeez.
I mean, it's trying to be the Venture Brothers for DC, and it misses the mark more often than not. Some of the stuff they did with
doesn't belong.
Psycho
actually,
was okay.
I can't bitch about the Harley Quinn show. It bought me a car.
And then on top of that, there was they actually did something really clever with Clayface because they made him an actor Matt Hagen, and he's a guy that gets lost in his role, so it's making more fun of actors than it is the character. I'm like, that's a clever idea. They just didn't. I mean, it wasn't done the best way, but I mean, I'll acknowledge good ideas if they're good ideas.
It's a bad idea to make a show like that with kids' characters, making vile, filthy, selling that kind of stuff to kids. I don't know.
Yeah,
basically, that Last Jedi is not canon shirt is a big contributor to my vehicle outside. Yeah, Hillis Mallory, you got the right idea here, buddy. Says just say no to Smurfs in space. Yes, it is the Tom Mobile. It is. Well, what do you say? We got to lose. We're gonna lose Nick anyway, so we might as well just wrap this up. What do you guys think?
Okay,
I think
no
I
problem.
think we've
Tight
covered
1 hour
everything.
show. That's not bad.
Yeah.
It's a tight hour.
I mean, something's going on. The thing going on with Marvel would be something, but it's nothing to do with no one reads comics anymore. So with Adam
Why?
Adam
What's going
Warlock,
on with Marvel?
with Adam Warlock, you saw that, Nick?
Yeah, with the feed, the Eve Warlock,
Adam,
and they
Warlock
my part out loud where she's literally stronger, smarter, and faster
Yeah,
than
that's what I'm saying.
Adam,
Nobody
and
reads
she's going to
comics.
debut in his own upcoming miniseries.
Oh,
yeah,
it's so bad. I can't.
Bobby, you and I will have to do something
Ron
about
Lim,
that.
dude.
We might have
Ron
to
Lim's
talk
doing
about
that.
that.
Yeah, we'll talk
and
about
Ron, that's the worst part. That adds insult to injury. Ron Lim is doing it too. So yeah, you and I need to talk about that, Clubby.
Yeah.
Maybe we will.
Someone mentioned it in the chat a little while ago, so that's why. But yeah, it's just comics crap. Nobody cares about comics anymore, Tom. I mean, they're not worthy of being reported on, to be honest.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but anyways, no, it's.
I guess not.
But
yeah, so 6. Do you have anything coming up you'd like to promote, or any shows you're going to be on, or anything?
No, I got to work this weekend, so I got nothing.
That stinks. But it's money.
Yeah.
But I'm sure you'll be in the background at least tomorrow morning. If not, we'll see you at some point next week.
Yep.
On the next show.
Yeah, Midnight's Edge in the morning. I'll be there tomorrow, backstage.
All right. Well, sometimes you hop in. You never know. You might get a cameo. It all depends. We have a new guest joining us. The one, the only, Jonas J. Campbell. Welcome to Midnight's Edge After Dark. How are you?
I'm pretty good. How you doing, Tom?
For those who may not know, he is a journalist of sorts from, what do you call it? The Park Place? That Park Place?
That Park Place, yeah.
Yes, indeed. And you also hang out with our buddy WDW Pro and Valiant Renegade, and welcome. So you guys actually dropped a little news story here a little bit ago. So I sent you here. We'll talk about that, but I do have to let Nick go before we get too deep into that.
Well, it's unfortunate, but hi and goodbye to Mr. Campbell. Hopefully you have a great time here on the show. Midnight's Edge is a great show to be a part of, so enjoy your time here. And Tom, thank you for having me as always. And to the chat, thank you for being here and listening to our wonderful mods as well. I see you all there. Thank you. And yeah, nice, good, solid hour. And yeah, tomorrow night we'll have the Comic Shop show talking Infinity Gauntlet issue number 4. Claude, you'll be a part of that.
Buddy.
And of course, next Toxic Tuesday is gonna be Waterworld. So yeah, that's what's up on my side of the pond. It is your fault, but I'm glad we're doing this, Tom. I'm glad. Thank you, chat and panel. Have a great night.
All right, buddy.
Bye.
Good.
Take care, buddy. So yes, this is why I said so-called, because nowadays I don't even know if somebody wants to be called a journalist.
Oh my, yeah.
But yeah, so I didn't get to see the video yet, but WDW Pro dropped a video earlier. I assume that's part of the reason you're here tonight. What is going on with this FTX business?
Oh, okay. Well, I haven't gotten to watch the video with Valiant's analysis and Pro's analysis yet, but we've been talking about it a lot in the internal group, and I've been trying to dig through the information best as possible. There is a massive list of people that FTX owes money to, and that includes investors. That includes CoinDesk, which I believe is a crypto related business of some kind. Although that one, it's clear that they just owed them money for advertisements or something like that. Yeah. So the smoking gun there is one. There are a lot of names left off, even though the list is 161 pages of not very large type. And at the bottom, it even says something like 9.5 million entities or items have been left off this list, even though large swaths of them are saying name is on file at the court. But the headline, of course, is that Disney is not on that list. Despite Cameron and his excellent work. Right now, the evidence doesn't seem to show that Disney has any involvement with FTX. If it comes out after this, it's astronomical. That's catastrophic news. Iger personally might have some investments somewhere. His firm, Thrive, which he's now bought into, We tried to find them on the list and couldn't find them. It could be in one of those name is on file places, but I don't think he's high up enough to be left off the list.
Interesting. All right. Well, yeah, I'm curious to hear what Pro or Valiant would have to say to that. But Pro hasn't made it here yet. I'm assuming he sent you the link though, so that's a start.
Yeah, he. I was surprised. I was sitting here about to put kids to bed.
Oh, he's
and
in
he said,
traffic
"Hey,
jam. Yeah.
yeah, hey, MEAD is asking if you want to step on. I'm pretty new to live streaming, so forgive me if I've got some nerves
Oh,
here."
so far so good. You're doing great. We have a pretty good idea of the basics now. So yeah, that was part of what Cameron Pasha was reporting, is that there was some links between Disney and FTX, and that might have been part of the reason why Bob Iger had reinserted himself, and they quickly fired and shuffled off not only Chapek but a few other members of Disney's hierarchy over there. And
Yes,
the
yes.
timing seemed to correspond with that. And I mean, I also pointed out there was other things that were happening at the same time too, to me, that also stuck out. But yeah, I guess that's interesting. So are you guys thinking that they're being left off on purpose, or that there just is no
Well,
the Cameron story is just misinformed?
Well, careful journalism. If we want to use the word journalism here, I'm trying my best to not say anything that is not verified. So I think it's pretty unlikely at this point that the Disney board would bring back Iger in order to cover up fraud. Of course, if that turns out to be true, that is earth shaking. And I just don't think they would do that. Now, that being said, if Iger has some personal investment in the company, because Kevin O'Leary, who has ties to FTX, dropped Iger's name accidentally in the middle of a interview or something like that. So that raises some eyebrows that I think that's not going to go away for a while. The suspicion that he has something to do with it here. So if Iger has involvement, it wasn't through Disney. And also, by the way, this Thrive that he just purchased shares in, it's a little unusual. Also raises eyebrows that it was founded by Jared Kushner's younger brother. And Jared Kushner is, of course, the son-in-law of Donald Trump, which is yet another bizarre connection in all of this that we all go, what is going on here? Because Iger, while he doesn't want to be known as a political guy, is very left-leaning, tried to get behind the scenes, tried to get his name in the ring for the Democrat National Convention's candidacy. I mean, it's just, there's so much going on here that it's kind of hard to unpack it all.
Yeah, and as you were just saying here, Bob Iger joins investor taking minority stake in venture firm Thrive Capital.
Oh, one more thing. He was a partner right before he got called back to Disney. So if the theory is that he was always going to come back to Disney, which that has some merit to it, it wasn't going to be as quick as it ended up being.
Interesting. Well, I have a feeling maybe a lot of this might come up on tomorrow's show. And since it looks like Pro is stuck in traffic and Valiant is AWOL, MIA. I haven't even seen him pop up in the chat, so I'm assuming he's busy with family stuff. I'll tell you what, I'm going to try and coordinate with you guys, and we'll definitely want to talk about this in the near future again, I'm sure, if not tomorrow, the next week or so. So thank you for hopping in, Jonas. Appreciate your breakdown of this situation, and I'm sure we're going to follow up with it. But I think what we're going to do is read the super chat real quick from Camelbot Killer, who says, I feel another Iger book coming. Well, he already has one in the planning. Isn't he already working on one? I thought
he
there
held
was
on.
one.
He held on to the ride of a lifetime, 15 years, for as long as he could. I think it was in the can for at least 2 years before it got released.
Yeah, and I'd heard something about him having another book on the way. But I think we're going to follow up with this. But for now, I think we're going to put a capper on this show and let everybody go. And clobbering times, what do you got coming up?
Well, of course, And at 9 Central, a little bit hour and a half or so, the Clubhouse with Raquel and Mark, as always, on Thursday nights. And then tomorrow night, I'll be on my good buddy Dad Man Walking's channel at 7 Eastern. We're talking about NFL playoffs. And then with Nick and the gang, 8:30 tomorrow night Central, 8 Central for the comic shop that he mentioned earlier, Comic Shop Talk, Infinity Gauntlet #4. And then, of course, Saturday night Star Trek. As always, 9 p.m. Central Standard Time, 4 more episodes of Deep Space Nine and our ongoing mission to review all of real Star Trek 66 through 05 only. So thanks for having me, buddy.
I love Star
Appreciate
Trek. May the force be with you.
Yeah, Gandalf said that, right?
Yeah. In episode 7. Script Doctor, any more Vikinging on your agenda?
Nope, not anytime soon. Maybe this weekend, but for now, just I was working away. Got just waiting, getting groceries done, chores, things that aren't screenwriting related. But I will be dropping some more articles on my Patreon in the next day or so. So if you're a subscriber, look forward to that. And if you're not, please feel free to give it a check it out. You might find it very valuable.
Indeed. So do check out his Patreon. 6, anything changed in the last 10 minutes that you needed to update us with as far as anything you may be doing?
No other offers have come into my inbox.
I just wanted to make sure nothing has changed. And Jonas, anything you want to plug outside of, I will coordinate with you and the rest of the guys on this whole FTX thing. I'm sure Andre will be interested in talking about it. If not, like I said, tomorrow, within the next few days. But do you have a channel of your own or anything you would like to promote that people can follow you on?
I do, actually. I just started my YouTube channel yesterday morning at 9:30. I dropped the first episode of a series. Well, the first one is Everything Woke About Velma, episodes 1 and 2.
Oh, yes.
So if you want to check that out, it's the Jonas J. Campbell channel. And next week, there's another one coming, and it's a doozy.
All right. Well, yes, I seen that Valiant had tagged me in that, and I did subscribe to your channel. So subscribe to Jonas's channel and check that out as well. And yeah, with that, let's get the heck out of here. What do you say?
Yes.
Tom thinks so. So let's do it. Take care of yourselves and each other, kids. I'll probably hop into TNT maybe at some point here. We'll see. Later.